Welcome to TradeTheMBI.com. This is John. This report is for the, 3rd of February. Well, the excitement happened on Friday as Trump announced tariffs on both Mexico, uh, Canada, as well as China, though in modest form. The ones on Mexico and Canada are designed to get them to comply with being tougher on the drug trade. The market obviously knee-jerk reaction to it, of course, and it began selling early on, and things started to decay pretty fast from there. And then we closed down at the lows, and then of course gapping down as the full effect of this construct really starts to set in. Now, of course, you have a lot of doomsayers for the market who think that this tariff idea is just a disaster of inflation, blah 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 blah. And, um, yeah, it's just a complete misread of the construct. Now, is that going to create some trauma? Well, I think from Trump's viewpoint, it's like sometimes you got to break some eggs to make an omelet, and this is his version of cracking those eggs and letting the world know you're not going to get away with it. Where it may have been soft the previous time, and letting some of the things slide now, it's aggressive all the way. You can see the same effect happening at Doge going into the Treasury, pointing out how the Treasury has just been paying everybody regardless. No one's ever bothered to look and see who they're paying and why they're paying them. They just pay them. And they're already starting to make significant cuts in some of that. And some people think that that's actually going to be a drain on growth and stuff. It's not. If you cut out waste, that by nature is not a bad thing. Not to mention the fact that you're not going to be borrowing it. So, they think they're on track for $1 trillion. I think that's optimistic, but hey, we'll see. We don't know how much waste and abuse there's been. But from the NASDAQ point of view, we go back, actually, let me put the S&P back up for a second, because all we've done is retraced the extreme histogram down here, the dip below the red line. Usually gets a revisit. So it did it for the S&P, but not quite completely for the NASDAQ on that long tail that it had from before. And we're already made improvement. The S&P is off, 96 now from even steeper lows than that. It's a bunch of knee-jerk reaction, hype to nothing. Canada, of course, is going to, complain and moan, but at the end of the day, they're going to have to work out some kind of arrangement that makes Trump feel like they're actually making progress on the drug front. So we'll see. The interesting one was the 10% ones on China, but really there was a little subtlety to it. It's about the price of shipment of things under $800. There was always this minimum exemption that existed for these mail-in order things like Shein and some of these other ones that and they were sending billion packages that way at these lower values. So that's now no longer going to be exempt. That could have an interesting impact because that will certainly affect domestic uh, choices. And literally, that's what this is designed to do. It's designed to say, buy American first, plain and simple. Now, do you think that the Europeans in that are freaking out at this particular stage? Well, let's see. Because oil taking a shoot up, well, that's going to be painful for the euro. Is it direct relation to this? Most likely. Also impacting from a euro standpoint in dramatic fashion. As you can see, barely now going to be able to hold on to par with the dollar because they know it's coming. If you've done it to your neighbors in Canada and Mexico, the European Union is not far from the same outcome. Not to mention the fact that the pulling back from the war footing in that has left that burden solely on to the Europeans, and they certainly don't put out enough money at this particular stage to cover it, so they're going to have to pony up. So that's a further drain on EU resources. It's going to get interesting, but we kind of expected that it would anyway, so it's not too big a drama. Gold, we would expect it to hold up and continue to make highs. I mean, there's no question that the interesting battle is going to be if there are real net savings that are found from the government side, which we won't know for quite some while. That will have a negative impact on inflation as well as on gold, and that if you're not really stealing that much from the economy for borrowing purposes, then you could get some benefits. You can see that Bitcoin also suffering from this construct. And again, it's poignant to point out that orange relationship there. When you don't get that full crossover of green over red and the orange dip, you have trouble maintaining it. You end up in what we call the continuation zone. And in this case, we were negative, and so that was just a suggestion the negative would keep, and that breakdown and the shakeout clean kept going. It's made a big comeback from where it was. I mean, it's already up, over 6,000 from its dip to the lows, or pretty close to it. Not bad. And you can see bigger impact here from ETH standpoint. The whole crypto dream falling apart before their eyes. No, it's just normal behavior. You get too many people popped in one direction. So this all started yesterday early in the afternoon, and it was beautiful, clean DOC spread. We came back, and here you go with that failure to correct underneath the orange under red completely, and no reset of steel, and that becomes problematic. And right now you're in a slight up because steel has moved above negative 13. I mean, positive 13.5 is the same as it coming from underneath, and you do have the dip. But as soon as that steel falls back below the 7.5, you're going to end up with some weakness in there. So this is kind of a reflex situation. But you're already above the gap, so to speak. But it was pretty clean. And it was good that they did it before the close so that everybody knew what was taking place. Here we are in the current European session, where you can see the pushback has brought us, actually slightly above. It should be pretty clean. So, all in all, going to be scary for some people when they pop in. But you can see what happened from the immediate point of the signal. It was just a brief. People were like probably in a little bit of doubt, but look at that MBI white spike, so clean, and sure enough, right to the zero. And then it continued all the way at the close. We were already in the same thing, so the expectation was that was going to continue, and it has. So, all in all, pretty good stuff. Very exciting with the volatility. It's one of those where if you didn't follow the signals and stick with it from intraday part of it, then you missed out on the move. But there's going to be a lot more of it, because this is going to be some really wild grabs back and forth, because people are going to see imbalances, and that's just going to add to the volatility. It's just going to be beautiful. So as always, anything relevant, I'll put on the Skype chat. But have a good one. Trade well.